Hello and welcome back to the 4 steps in the negotiation process. We're now looking at the propose phase. In the previous videos we looked at preparation being the first step, probing being the second step, and the third step is proposing. So what is proposing? Proposing is when, after we've listened to what the other party wants and perhaps why they want it and what they see as important to them, that we have a turn in telling them what it is we want. Now, as I've mentioned before, it's very important that you get the other party to give you their offer first, giving you an opportunity to counter offer or to accept their offer rather than you going first. So it's always in your interest when negotiating to get the other party to tell you what they want first. For example, let's imagine you are selling a car and you want to sell the car for $20,000. That's what you have in mind. And you say to the other party, well, tell me, what were you thinking about purchasing the car for? What if they said to you, well, I don't think we'd pay any more than $20,500. In other words, their opening price is even better than what you wanted. Now, should you accept the offer, yes or no? Well, the answer is no, you shouldn't. If you accept their offer without negotiating, do you think that they might get the impression, well, hang on a minute, that was a bit too easy, maybe I'm offering too much? So even if on the off chance someone offers you a price which is higher than you were expecting, you should always negotiate. Why? Because if you don't, there's every possibility they might withdraw their offer, realizing that they've probably offered you too much. So let's take a deeper look at the propose phase, or as is often known, the bargaining phase. First of all, as I've said before, in the second phase or step, I'm trying to find out what they want and why they want it. I'm trying to build rapport with this person and of course get the issues on the table. I'm also trying to find areas where we both agree. For example, I want to sell this car, you want to buy this car. Or areas where we agree. For example, what if the price of my product is about to go up? What areas do we agree on? Well, we both agree that we want to help each other. In other words, this company wants my product and I want them as a customer. So what I want to do is start the negotiation by saying to them, look, I realize what we're about to do. We may go into areas where we perhaps have disagreements. However, let me start by saying we see you as a long-term customer. We're delighted to work with you. We want to work with you. Would you agree with how I see things? Because negotiating is about trying to find the areas where you agree more than the areas you disagree. At which point you might outline areas where you have a difference of opinion. For example, well, you've offered me $18,000 for this product, and while I thank you for making that offer, I need to say that it's a lot less than I was expecting. I was thinking more about $20,000, and here's why. I've looked at the price of these items being sold around town. I've looked on the internet and on eBay, for example, and the price ranges anywhere from $19,500 up to around $25,000. Now, thinking about the condition of what I'm selling and the fact we have a relationship, I feel $20,000 is a fair price. So you've offered me $18,000 as a starting point, and you've mentioned that you do want this. So how do we get to $20,000? You see, what I'm doing now is I am trying to find the areas where we both agree and areas where we disagree. Now remember that if they offer 18 and you've offered 20 as a counter offer, the chances are that they're going to go straight to the middle. In other words, well, I'm thinking of 19,000. Remember that if you accept that offer, you're going to need a concession from them. Well, I might be willing to accept a little bit more than $19,000, but if I was to do that, then I'm going to need you to pay half now and half in 7 days' time. Or I might be willing to accept a little bit more than that, but here's what I'm going to need from you. Or if I was to do that, I could give you a 30-day warranty. I couldn't give you a 6-month warranty, which was what I was intending. You might ask them to tell you what they want not to get because you can't get your price. For example, well, look, here's the thing. For $20,000, I was going to give you a 6-month warranty, install the item, I was going to provide training to all of your people, and I was going to give you access to all the materials that I've used with this item in the past. Now, I understand that you want to offer me less, and I respect that. Therefore, I'm not going to be able to offer you some of those other things. For example, it's going to take me at least 2 days to train you and your staff. So perhaps I would be willing to accept $19,000, but I would not be able to include training as part of it. Also, I was willing to provide you a 6-month warranty. Taking less, I would be willing to give you a 1-month warranty. This is where the bargaining comes into the phase. At this point, our negotiation goes backwards and forwards, and it's important that you tally up what you have. Remember that you're going to trade, in some cases, a number of different concessions. So it's a good opportunity of looking at what you've got. For example, it might be that they have offered you $19,000, but in fact they're prepared to pay you right now. Now, if money is important to you and you actually need the cash in your bank, you might be willing to accept it. On the other hand, if you don't need cash, if money isn't an issue, then maybe you might decide to hold out for a higher amount. Why? Well, why accept less than you believe you could receive elsewhere? Remember, we spoke earlier about being able to live with the agreement. In other words, a true win-win does not mean that you get everything you want, but what it means is you can live with the agreement. Do you feel comfortable? Can you live with this? Can you justify this? Can you go back to your manager and tell him or her what you've agreed to? At which point, when you have agreed, you now can shake hands and conclude the bargaining phase. In other words, you might say, so do we have an agreement? Yes, we do. Now at this point you might decide to shake hands or give a verbal agreement. Remember, there is one more phase, and that is the pack-up phase. So at this point we have gone backwards and forwards, we've traded concessions, we've given, we've got, and we've come to the conclusion that we can live with this arrangement. Now all that we have to do is formalize it so that neither party reneges or misinterprets what's been discussed. The last thing you want is to come back 2 days later and for one of the other parties to say, well, no, hang on a minute, we didn't agree to 19,000, I thought we agreed to 18,000. Trust me, this sort of thing happens. Not necessarily to parties that know each other and respect each other, but in situations where you're dealing with someone you haven't done work with before. So let's conclude this session. So now we've come to the end of this session. When you're ready, find video number 4 and play it for the 4th stage of the negotiation process, which is the pack-up phase.